Gina Tremacy here, favorite site nurse practitioner. Thank you for checking out my channel. Welcome to my channel. Give me a like, follow for more videos like this. In today's video, I'm going to talk about how a lot of men don't have empathy for women, especially when become committed, especially when you have a few kids with them, when they start to not like you anymore, when they start to feel like you're too much for them, or you make more than them, or you're too driven for them. A lot of men might go for women who are ambitious, motivated. They know that this woman is chasing or want to chase her dream, want to have her goals, but want to humble her and squash her and silence her and turn her into a little fly on the wall. And if you push back, a lot of time in a very respectful way, but maybe consistently speak up for you, stand up for you, and maybe stand up for your children, they don't like it. A lot of men like that who are very conniving and manipulative and catty will use different tactics to cut you at the knees, to silence you, to make you feel worthless. You have to know those patterns for you to be awake to it, especially those men who bring to the relationship the love bombing, the mass, and then all of a sudden they change up, they switch up, or conditions change and they don't know how to communicate. They lack emotional intelligence, they lack communication skills, and they lack the ability to do repair and to apologize and to have empathy and kindness. A lot of men, as they get older, they chase the dopamine hit because their self-worth start to tank, especially when they start having issues with prostate, heart issues, high blood pressure, erectile dysfunction issues, hormone changes, midlife crisis, go about creating broken homes, having their insecurities dropping everywhere, lack accountability, refuse to recognize when they need to apologize. They are chasing women all over the place, refuse to be counselable or teachable, always chasing about SES, status, selfishness to no avail, high in conflict, no resolution, no emotional intelligence, no conscience, honestly, very entitled to the T, especially a lot of our African men, and I'm not targeting, but this is just the truth, especially those who claim to be in power or have status or rolling with the air quotes, the bros. Not supportive to their partners, even if they're not together anymore, not supportive consistently to their children, not providing for their children. There's a lot of men who dog out their partners that they've been together with for years, and because their ego is at stake, they will literally dog out the woman and dog out the children too. So ladies, be aware always. I say in my videos, the lessons that some of us learned it the hard way and passing it along. Men are awesome, but while you're awesomely and chasing after them, make sure you don't forget about you, to take care of yourself, to center yourself, your education, your career, your businesses, your career goals. If a man comes to your life and is not open and willing to having individualized goals, as well as mutual goals, and that's the essence of partnership, and they want to squash you emotionally, spiritually, psychologically. As a psychiatric nurse practitioner, I've seen this in my client time and after, and you're being reactive and overreacting, very reactive, and this thing called reactive abuse. But that thing is going to derail you from your goals, for your accomplishment, from your purpose, because you're constantly in your head about what he's doing. If you literally have to go check in his phone for you to chase him, chase the wives, because at the girls, the women he's chasing, you're spending all that time, like this woman that I'm going to stitch in this video here, like you're doing too much. Save that time for you to listen to yourself, to drink your water, to find out what's your next goals. Now you're wasting all that time. Sometimes you find yourself, you be the one ended up in some type of a trouble because you're doing a whole lot for this one person. We all been there, but catch yourself after one or two tries. When it's not doing, when the goal is not going, it might be trying to just squash it, run it, close it, let it be. If you're choosing to stay in that relationship, then stay and stay well. Work on yourself. Work on yourself. Work on yourself. If you're leaving, then leave and do the work. Find your purpose. Find your dream. Chase it. Leave it. Just live your beautiful life. You're choosing to be single. Be single. Enjoy it. Do the things. Do all the things. Travel. Eat. Blah. Go on dates with yourself. If you're choosing to be celibate, do it. Get all the instruments and do the instruments and be okay with it. Because whether you're single or married or whatever, it's never perfect. The perfection comes with when you are choosing to center you, nourish you, love you, and pour back into you. Okay, bye.
20 reasons why I want to be child-free forever, part 1. So I made this list yesterday after talking to this really young girl in her early 20s who told me that she's considering not having kids because she didn't really want them, but she wasn't sure that she was making the right decision or what her reasons even were. And so she asked me, because we've known each other for a while, she was like, what are your reasons for not wanting kids? And I actually went home and made this list for her. Number 1, straight off the bat, is that kids are hard to take care of. Number 2, I honestly would not want to have a sick child, like someone who is born sick in some way or another. Number 3, you cannot control who your kid turns out to be, especially if they turn out to be a really bad person. Number 4, I have so much work to do on myself still that I would not be able to really give a kid the attention that they deserve. Number 5 is that I lose my temper very quickly, and I would probably hit my kid at some point if they got me really pissed off, and that would probably traumatize them, which I wouldn't want. Number 6 is that I would not want to live with my heart outside of my body, meaning that because I love them so much, they would be my heart walking around, going places, and worrying me all the time. And I would not be able to live with that. It would give me so much anxiety. Number 7 is that they might probably hate me for something I didn't even know I was doing wrong. Like, it happens to so many of us that resent our parents for something that they probably didn't even think was a big deal, or that they just weren't aware that they were doing. Number 8 is that I don't think that I would honestly be able to survive the loss of a child if something were to happen to my child. Number 9 is that I wouldn't want them to experience the loss of a parent, whether it's their dad or myself, earlier than what's expected, because that can really change the course of a person's life. Number 10 is that I wouldn't want to bring someone into this world who has to figure shit out, who has to figure out what to do, where to work, how to live, and all this shit, because all this shit is stressful, okay? Like, adulthood is stressful as so why would I want someone else to experience that, like, willingly?
You want to have kids? No, I don't. I'm the eldest daughter in a Mexican family. I've already raised a kid that wasn't even mine, and it was my sister. My mom was a single mom. She also worked, and, she had moments where she was really depressed. I was cooking, cleaning, taking care of the household, on top of making sure she did her homework, making sure she got up and went to school. I had to know where she was at all times. I had to make sure she wasn't getting into trouble. Anything that my sister did was a reflection of me. Period. So I've already raised a kid. I don't want to do it again. Well, it's different when you're a mom. That's great, but I still don't want to do it.
I have been practicing celibacy for 8 years now. It has led me to being consciously single. And I say consciously because I know what I'm doing. I have the intentions on saying no to others and saying yes to myself. Because when I say yes to myself, I'm saying yes to accountability. I'm saying yes to responsibility, and I'm saying yes to self-respect. And that is such a revolutionary act when you choose yourself, when you honor yourself, when you respect yourself. I no longer believe in the lies. I no longer believe in a fairy tale, this illusion of romanticism, and putting that as the pinnacle of my life. I don't need to wait on love because I am love. I operate from love. I don't need to wait on permission to be myself. I have taken my power back by being my own happiness, finding my hobbies, finding what brings me joy, what feels good for me. I stopped looking for a soulmate because I have found myself. And that is the revolution. When you say no to others and say yes to yourself, have the audacity to choose yourself, to put yourself on the top of the to-do list. Put your peace of mind on the top of the to-do list. Your mental health. It's about standing on business and standing on your own boundaries. You got to be real strict when it comes to you.
5 reasons, though, while I love children, I don't want any. Number 1, I have a pretty pessimistic worldview. I think the world sucks economically. People are struggling to afford their lifestyles. And I feel like that's only going to get worse for the time being. Socially, I'm Black. So whoever I would have a kid with, regardless of their color, my child would still be Black. And walking through life that way, it's not an experience I would want my child to have. It's not conversations that I would want to have because I don't feel like I should have those conversations. I don't think the world should be that way, yet that's what it is. So I don't want to pass on some of the hurt that comes with the Black experience, though it's fantastic. There are, lots of great things. There's lots of bad things. So no thanks. Environmentally, world's in shambles and I'm not interested, bro. I think the world sucks. So why would I want to bring my child into that, Reason number 2, kids do not just stop at like the baby infant stage, no matter how freaking cute they are. You are a parent. You are raising somebody. You are cultivating their worldview. Every single word you say matters. It could be just a regular schmegular Tuesday for you, but that could be their villain origin story. Like, I just don't want that type of pressure. And we aren't perfect as humans. So I feel like it's sort of inevitable to try and like not to traumatize your kid, but you end up doing it. So it's just like, no thanks. Reason number 3 is I know myself very well, and I don't think I would have the bandwidth. I really don't. The idea of coming home from work and having to do homework, having to make a well-balanced meal when I thrive off of a good girl dinner, sometimes no dinner at all. It's just, I don't want the responsibilities of being a parent, and having a 9-to-5 in the corporate world takes a lot out of me. Maintaining my social life and a future relationship, I feel like I'm just going to be fulfilled. I don't think that I need to have children. And that goes into point number 4, being that kids are optional. I grew up always wanting kids. Like, it was just, I'm going to have kids, point blank, period. My culture reinforced that. But I just got to 25, honestly. And I said, wait, I have a choice. And I thought about it. And I just think raising a child is such a task. It is. And it's, you don't know what type of kid you're going to get. You have to tailor everything to your child. And I just think it's one of the hardest jobs in the world. Also one of the most rewarding, but I just thought, in my opinion, critically about having a kid. And I was just like, yeah, just because I can doesn't mean I have to. So I'm choosing not to. And reason number 5 is I am not attached to my genetics and my genetic makeup. Like, I don't care to have a lineage, not a legacy, because those 2 words be fucking y'all up. But yeah, if I ever change my mind and decide I want to be a mom, there are options. I can adopt. I can foster. I don't have to physically push a kid out of me, which is, a bonus reason. Let's make that reason number 6. Having a kid can be life-threatening. Postpartum just ain't it. And again, as a Black woman, it's just not it. But yeah, I would overall like to make someone's life better, rather than bringing a child into the world that I don't love. For things that are just so out of my control, that having a kid is within my control and I'm choosing not to do it. It just hurts too much to think about what can happen to my kid, unbeknownst to me, and just naturally. It's just like, no, I don't want that. So yeah, I love kids, but I won't be having them.
I am 34 years old and I have been married for 9 years, and my husband and I decided not to have kids because one of our core values is freedom. Let me explain. When my husband and I started dating, we both fell in love with how independent we were and how dedicated we were to our careers and our ambition and our purpose and our devotion to our own individual happiness. So early on, I was, 24 when we were dating. We decided that we were not interested in having kids. But I also knew that I am very young and I may change my mind. So I never made any definitive decision. I just said, yes, not having children sounds really, really nice, but I can't promise you that at 24. As time went on, we saw a lot of our friends having kids and my siblings having kids, and it reinforced the decision of not having kids for us because we saw just how much it changes your lifestyle. And my husband and I have an amazing life. Like, we do whatever we want. We've even lived in our own apartments in New York City while being happily married. And we've moved across the country from New York to LA. We bought a house in Seattle that we are now renting out to move back to LA because of work. And we are both able to be untethered and move based on our careers, based on what we want in life. Not to say that you can't do those things while having kids, but kids are expensive. And I don't know if we would be able to be homeowners in our 30s if we had kids. And I don't know if we would be able to travel as much as we do if we had kids. And we were both raised in the generation with immigrant parents who had to work so incredibly hard to just afford the bare minimum of the life that we both got to live. And we both felt neglected. I think that a child deserves to come into this world with parents who are fully excited and devoted to the child and putting the child's wants and needs first. The child deserves that. And until we are ready to do that for another human being, we choose to be child-free. So follow along if you're interested in the DINK lifestyle, which just means dual income, no kids, and see how we are living our life child-free.
So I'm finally getting around to discussing more on why I decided to be child-free. And the main reason is I don't view parenthood and parent-child relationships like a lot of people. I don't see children as an extension of their parents. Thus, I wouldn't see my child as an extension of myself. I wouldn't have my child and birth them with expectations and demands of their lifestyle choice, of their career choice, of who they are as individuals and how they choose to operate in the world. To me, parenthood would be about giving the child I voluntarily chose to bring into this world every tool at my disposal, and I have very high standards for that. The tools they need to be savvy in this life, to be successful in this life. And that is a lot. That's very taxing. Children are also very needy. And because I feel like this about parenthood, and I think a lot of people are very selfish for the reasons they have children. They want legacy. They want somebody to take care of them when they're older. They want shallow reasons like me is they want a mini me, somebody they can dress in cute matching outfits. And that's not a good reason to have a child. I don't think the reward would be worth the risk. And don't get me wrong, I love children. I have plenty of children in my life that I can nurture and that I can assist with in rearing. I just don't want any for myself. I think that children are super needy. I don't like being touched a lot. I don't like people in my personal space a lot. And I think it would drive me literally insane to have someone who literally can't fend for themselves. They need me to literally survive. Can't see that for myself. It would totally rearrange my life, in the worst way. And it will also uproot every ounce of freedom I constantly work for. And if more people viewed, parenthood the way I view it, you would think twice about choosing to take care of someone and give them all of yourself for nothing. I vividly recall as a kid not even really wanting to be here. Earth is ghetto. I can't justify bringing a child into this world and, having to deal with this world's shit. I just can't, and I won't. I grew up in a super religious household. And so I grew up like, this shit does not make sense. I don't like it. Why am I here? So I don't have that, oh, your parents brought you here, you should be grateful. No, I spent a lot of my childhood wishing I wasn't here. Like, I would rather be somewhere else. Send me into another better dimension. But that pretty much sums it up.
I'm a child free. Every day is a self-care day for me. I'm a child free. Kids don't give me goosebumps. They give me anxiety. I'm a child free. And the generational curses will end with me. I'm a child free. I find every opportunity to nurture my inner child. I'm a child free. If I have to choose an archetype, it's definitely gonna be the rich auntie. I'm a child free. And I don't like working for free. This is how I knew parenthood was not for me. I'm a child free. I never had baby fever before. Guess I'm not that sick of that. I'm a child free. I actually enjoy alone time. Silence is my favorite noise. I'm a child free. No, I will not be changing my mind because I actually use my critical thinking skills. I'm a child free. And kids sounds like a burden to me.
Don't have kids of your own. Do your nieces and nephews make you want to have kids or no?
So a few weeks ago, my brother called me to ask for my professional opinion on Travel Tuesday, and he was planning to go to Bali. He's a parent of 2 that are under 10, and he was going with his friends that also have kids that are all under 10. So when he said he wanted to go to Bali, I was like, are the kids going? And he was like, no, it's an adult only trip. It's like, okay. So I said, how long are you going to be there? And he says 7 days is how much time that we can take. My brother does work for himself, and so does some of the other people that were going on the trip, but he just didn't want to be away from the kids for more than 7 days. So I was like, okay. And I said, well, it takes at least a day to get there and at least a day to get back because they're located near my hometown, which is in New Jersey. And I said, okay, that leaves you with 5 days out of your 7 days, but then there's also a 12-hour time difference. So do you plan on sleeping? And he said, yes, it's vacation. I said, okay, great. So you're going to at least have 1 day where you're going to be resting out of those 5 days. So it's really 4 days. And he said, well, we don't really want to be on a flight for that long. So how about we break up the travel so that we can stop somewhere that's like kind of midway? And I was like, oh, you were interested in Istanbul. So how about you stop in Istanbul? And he was like, okay. And I was like, all right, so how long do you want to be there? And he was like, well, at least a day and a half. And I was like, okay, let's round up to 2. So we went from 5 days in Bali to now 2.5-ish because of the stop and also the rest days. So as I'm explaining this to him, I'm like, yeah, I don't really think this is feasible unless you want to extend your trip. Before we had this whole talk, I already knew I wasn't going to have kids, but that conversation solidified it for me because there is no way I'm going to fly across the world to be there for 3 days. Now, if you're someone that's done that before, guess what? I don't care and I'm not talking to you. But if you've been following me for a while, then you probably know that I plan my trips like days, if not a week, maybe before they happen sometimes. So there is no way I would give up what I currently have to not only have children, but to raise them. That's a whole different story. And I thoroughly believe that my nieces and nephews are the best kids on this planet, but I would never, ever have children. Ever.
As a 47-year-old divorced woman who is child-free by choice, I thought it would be helpful for other women to share about my own journey and how I got there. Now, growing up, I was never one of those kids that like adored younger kids or babies. I mean, I could appreciate them, but I never felt this longing to like spend every minute with them. I was never like that kid that always wanted to babysit. I was never like the baby monster, anxiously awaiting the day I could have my own. In my 20s, I started dating a guy that was actually 6 years older than me. So I was seeing, his friends, his older cousins, his brother, they were beginning to have children. And let me tell you, the realities did not look fun. And what's strange is it's a reality that isn't widely talked about. I mean, at best in movies and in TV shows, like the difficulties are shown in like this cutesy, haha, funny way. But our culture, represents parenthood as this really noble, soul-satisfying endeavor. So when people don't have that same experience, I think a lot of them feel shame around that, and that keeps them quiet. But like I saw it and I felt it, that strain and contempt it injects into marriages. I saw the lasting effects on women's bodies and I heard the conversations about it. I deeply understood that parenthood irrevocably changes your life in a way you cannot control. because now there's this tiny human that comes first 24/7. And I got to thinking, I don't think I want to do this. In my late 20s, I split up from that boyfriend and I was out there dating, and I was open to the idea of having kids. I mean, if I would have met a guy who really wanted kids and I was really in love with him, I think I could have been talked into it. But in a few short months, I would meet a guy who later became my husband, and he actually had kids from his first marriage. They were teenagers, so he didn't want any more kids. And then I entered into a world of other people who had kids that were older, like late elementary school to teenagers. And I saw that it actually doesn't get easier when they get older. In fact, it's the opposite, because by that time, that's when the strain of parenthood had destroyed so many marriages. And now people are navigating single parenthood and dating or remarrying. And I can't tell you, honestly, how many times people told me, it's really smart that you're not having children. I can't tell you how many people freely admitted to me that they actually regretted having children. They loved their kids, but they hated their lives as a parent. They loved their kids, but there were so many things they wish they had known going into it and done differently, namely married differently. In the time that I was married to my ex, I saw a lot of parents celebrate their kids, but I also saw a lot of parents bury their kids. I saw that parenting doesn't end at 18 and you still feel that moment of panic anytime you get a late night phone call. I now know women years later that are dealing with health complications from pregnancy, and it's all very common stuff. I would never, ever judge anyone else's decision to have kids, but for me, I'm very secure in the decision I made to not have kids.
If this is a serious comment or if it is just a troll trying to get attention, but this is crazy to me. And it's crazy to me the comments that I got on my video about being 38 and not wanting kids. It's so interesting to me how that is so hard for some people to comprehend. I know that I don't want kids, like I know that the sky is blue. I am more sure of it every year of my life. People always say, like, oh, but you might change your mind. Every year that passes, the more sure I am that I am making the right decision for myself. And I don't understand why some people care so much whether somebody else procreates or not, especially somebody that they don't know. And the people who say that if you don't have kids, you're missing out on the meaning of life and life's purpose. In this day and age, I believe that you can find purpose through so many different areas. I find purpose through my work that I do in recovery. I find purpose in my career. I find purpose in my relationship with my family. I find purpose in my relationships with my friends. I find purpose in things that I do in my community. I find purpose when I go and travel the world and experience different cultures. I find purpose in my spiritual life. I mean, there's so many ways to be fulfilled without having kids. There is 0% part of me that feels like I want to be responsible for another human life for the rest of my life. I mean, truly, I just don't have that maternal thing. I always say I have it for my dog. It's fulfilled by my dog. I love my dog so much. And I know that dogs aren't people, but the fact that other people care so much and need everybody to hold their same views is just wild to me. If you ever come across a woman who says she doesn't want kids and she's sure about it, that's the end of the discussion.
I wanted to address this comment right here because it's one that I get a lot. I don't think anyone in the history of the world who's ever been pregnant with a child has said, I want to get pregnant so that I have a caretaker when I'm 80. I really don't understand the amount of people who comment this in my comment section and actually believe this. So I have a friend who's a palliative care nurse, and she says that hands down, the most lonely people in the palliative care ward are parents. Typically, the most lonely elderly people in her palliative care ward are parents who have really strained relationships with their kids. Others have great relationships with their kids, but the kids just don't visit anyways, and they wonder what they've done wrong. Recently, one of the most well-loved people in her palliative care ward is an elderly child-free woman. She has tons of friends visiting her all of the time and just loves her life. Her husband's at the palliative care ward with her and treats her like a gem. Me being a child-free woman just assumes that people who want kids just really love children and want to foster a nice family unit at home and enjoy their offspring, not give birth to caretakers to prepare themselves for their old age. And I really hope that people who think like this person aren't out judging us all because we didn't have kids. I mean, what a sad thing to look at somebody who doesn't have children. You don't know what their life situation is. Like, they could be infertile. Can we be a little bit more sensitive and caring? And I also wonder about people like this person here who comments stuff like this. I mean, what happens if you're young and you try to have children and you can't have kids? Do you regret comments like this? And what if your kids are annoying and you don't want them bothering you at the nursing home? And to the rest of you who say that you're sick of my child-free content, I feel like I've started a discussion with my audience that they really enjoy. And there's a lot of child-free women out there who just really appreciate this safe space. So really, you don't have to worry about me. I'm good.
Reason number 4 for why I chose to be child-free forever. I honestly know that I would not be a good parent or a parent that I was proud of. Whenever I say this to someone, they're always like, oh, no one knows what they're doing. You'll learn on the go. It'll become instinct, or your instincts will, kick in as a mom. And although I believe part of that to be true, like I know that I would want to protect my kids and look out for them and, do a lot of things instinctively. I also know that there is a ton of work that I have not done on myself yet that would hinder me from being a good parent. If you're wondering what that work is, it's basically anger management, for example. Like, I don't get angry very often, but I do get frustrated very quickly. I'm impatient. I like people around me to learn things really quickly. And even though I don't get angry very often, when I do, I tend to explode. So I would not want to explode with kids, with my kids, with any kids. And I think that it would scar them for life, no matter how sorry I was, or no matter how much I apologized or explained why it happened later on. Once something is done, it's done. I also know that my inner child is not healed. I went through a lot as a child, so I have a lot of trauma built in. And because I'm just not over a lot of things, even though I've gotten so much better over the years, I'm not there. And I don't think that I would be a good parent because it would be like trying to heal myself while I'm trying to teach something else to someone else. And I don't think I could do it.
As an early 30s person who has had the great debate many, many times as to whether or not I want children, one thing that I've been surprised as I get a bit older that has really impacted my leaning toward not having kids, strongly leaning toward not having kids, is the fact that I have older parents. So I turned 31 in a few weeks, and my dad is 73 this year. So he was older when he had me. My mom was 33 when she had me. So she's, not a young mom by any means. And so with that comes part of my thinking that if I wanted kids, I almost wish I would have done it earlier in life so that I wouldn't have been an older parent like my parents were older parents. Does that make sense? I think that there are just some sort of unique challenges at this point in your life when you have older parents that for people with like young, healthy family just don't understand it. Like I see people around my age who are still hiking and riding bikes and doing all of these things with their parents. And I
I just can't even fathom being able to do that. And so with the decision to have kids or not comes with like, I wouldn't have parent help if I had kids. I don't have this grand circle of people, older family members who watch my kids. Grandparents dead. Parents old. Lots of health problems. My dad has Parkinson's. My mom spent all of her time taking care of my dad. They wouldn't be around if I had a kid. I don't have this big circle of people. And so when I look to my friends who have kids and I think are doing a really good job with them, I also see that they have a lot of family help. That's not a thing for me. And so I wonder if there are other people who have older parents who have kind of thought through this process and thought like, yeah, that's not what it's going to look like if I have kids. And I think maybe I have a tiny bit of bitterness, or I don't know what to call it, but something around the fact that I had older parents and I wouldn't want to do that to my kids. And like, I'm 31, it's just clock would be ticking.
I have made my way to mom talk or baby talk or child free talk. I am married. I'm married for 3 years and we do not want children. Now, before I got with my husband, I was never gung ho like about kids. Like, I love kids, I love children. Like, bring me your child, I will take care. But I never was the type of woman that was like, oh my God, I can't wait to be married, or oh my God, I can't wait to be a mom. And I've been doing some work in therapy about trying to figure that out. But I want to just encourage young women who feel like it's something wrong with me because I haven't been like fiending for kids. It's nothing wrong with you, babe. There's nothing wrong with you. There are really maybe 3 reasons, high level. There are many more that I can go to. But for the sake of this video, there are 3 reasons why I wouldn't want children. The first is they don't fit into my lifestyle. I am turning 37, Scorpio season, in like 2 weeks. And the life that I built for myself does not allow for children. Number 2 is I really just want a baby. Okay, hold on. For y'all still, send it to the comments. Like 0 to 4 me, please. And then I would want like an adult child, 25 and up. They seem like they'd be a good time. Especially my kids. They're going to have personality. But that in between formidable years, return to sender. And it's not even like I don't despise children in age, because I don't. I love all kids. It is the energy and the time and the sacrifice that it takes. So I'm not about to have a child and give them less than 100%. And then finally, I am not interested in being pregnant, giving birth. Auntie first, bad bitch immediately after.